Councillors, staff, members of the gallery and the press, welcome to meeting for council, the first council meeting of the year for January the 22nd, 2019. Special welcome to our deputy and our petitioners tonight who are not listed on the agenda, but I intend to later recognise those in due course as we move through the agenda. I'd like to acknowledge this land we meet on today as a traditional land for the Kaurna people and that we respect their spiritual relationship with their country. We also acknowledge the Kaurna people as the custodians of the Adelaide region and that their cultural and heritage beliefs are still as important to the living Kaurna people today. I'd also like to read you the council pledge. We seek wisdom and understanding as we face the duties of our united task, praying for the peace and prosperity of our city. Please be seated. Welcome to our first meeting here in the Nailsworth Community Centre. It won't be our last, we'll be here for 9 months, hopefully only 9 months. Slim chance of it being 8, but let's say 9. And as I've suggested to the elected members before, but staff and members of the gallery, if you think there's any improvements we should consider in the meeting arrangements, please let us know. It is hot, you couldn't notice that outside. The system's doing its best, but you'll note that there's a distinct lack of formality amongst the elected members tonight, so please, members of the gallery, feel perfectly relaxed. You're in good company. It's too hot to get serious about suits and ties. Item 1.3, members, declaration by members of the conflict of interest. Are there any declarations tonight? No, that's the case. On the list we have nil, apologies nil. Confirmation of minutes. Can someone please confirm the minutes of the ordinary meeting of council for Tuesday, the 18th of December, 2018, be taken as read as a true report, as a true record. Councillor Harris, wish to speak to them?
No, just to ask one brief question.
Yes.
Just I saw you on the jingle box with the talking about the previous meeting, then I didn't see anything from the others. Is that how we're going to do it? Or didn't I go to the right place? So when you go and watch it on the computer,
Summary.
so it's just a summary, not the meeting.
Confirm what's happening.
Through the chair, the meeting, the full meeting is on the website. If you couldn't find that, I'll have it in a second. But we also do a summary, a 3-minute summary of the matter.
Anything further, Councillor Harris? Got a second? Deputy Mayor, wish to speak to it? Further debate?
Yes, just to clarify, I just noticed that I did email the staff and got a response. I just need to bring it up in this meeting here, so we'll do. Bottom of page 150, item 2, I believe, if I was correct, the item was lost unanimously, not just lost. So I don't know whether we record unanimous votes carried and lost. I know we do carried, but can I just get some clarification on that? Because my recollection was that after debate, item 2 on page 150 was lost unanimously. If we can just get clarification.
It doesn't happen often, so I'll just see clarification. CEO.
Thank you for the question. As a matter of protocol, we don't record motions that are lost either unanimously or not unanimously, but for the purposes of a motion that is carried, we have, as a matter of course, provided that so that there's consistency in terms of the decisions that are then followed through on.
Okay, that's fine. Happy with that.
Further debate? Councillor Harris, wish to sum up?
No, thank you.
Please debate. All those in favour? Yes, it's carried unanimously. Which does get important. Mayor's report, pages 1 and 2. I'll move it for that as it is.
Move that way.
Speak to it. Second. Deputy Mayor, wish to speak to it?
No thanks.
Further debate? There being none. Councillor Rip, you wish to sum up those excellent speeches? Further debate, all those in favour? Yes, it's carried unanimously. Council member reports and briefings, are there any?
Yes.
Councillor Barnett.
Yes, on Saturday, I believe there was the like a barbecue, and that say like farewell a bit to the George Whittle Reserve. And yeah, and it was really lovely. Some other elected members, Councillor Twee and Councillor Pearce and the Mayor came along. It was really lovely to see a whole range of age groups, doing all their tricks and their falling off their skateboards and all that. But yes, it was a great occasion. So I think, and had some good discussions with some of the ones that have expertise in using those and planning them from the user group. So I said, oh, please tell me what this means and that means so that I can speak with some authority on these matters. So it was a very good occasion. And thanks to the staff who were there throughout.
Okay, so you're up on the skating lingo is what you're telling us. It's good.
Oh, yes.
Any further reports or briefings from the members? Being none, and move on to petitions. We have a petition regarding traffic management at Balfour Street, Howard Street, Key intersection. The petition's been sent separately to you, so you all had a chance to read that. There is a motion there that we receive a note of petition regarding the poor design of Balfour Street, Howard Street junction. Just like to get it on the floor. Councillor Harris, you wish to speak to it?
Yes, the end result will be once we hear the speakers and go down that track, I'd be looking at the February meeting, actually bringing a motion to the February meeting of some remedies or procedures that we follow, try and remedy some of the things. Some will be hard that I'll hear today, but to actually get it on the floor to discuss the end result. So I'll be doing that in the February meeting.
Councillor Rick, wish to speak to it?
Look, just briefly to basically state that having read this petition, I'd like to thank obviously the residents for bringing this issue to the council chamber for us to consider it and look at. And I agree with the sentiments of the residents of the concern. I've had a couple of near misses myself on that, we call it on the island, where I've been coming up from Coventgrave Avenue on Howard. I've been sitting in the spot trying to turn left to continue onto Bower Road to Howard, and the shrubs have been quite high, and I've had to myself go all the way out to even see what's coming. So I can safely say so those shrubs do get quite high and visibility is poor both ways, even going the other way on Howard. There is an issue where I've seen motorists just go straight through, not even realising that you actually have to turn right to actually continue. A lot of them just think, oh, well, I'm still on Howard, I've just got to continue. But it's not the case. You do have to turn right. They indicate to turn right to continue. So it is, I don't know if it's an education thing on that point, but definitely the shrub management, I think, is something we can take away. So look, really want to thank the residents for bringing this to our attention, and I'll be really keen to see what Councillor Harris brings to the February meeting, because it is definitely an issue for traffic management in the area.
Having got it on the floor, I indicated before that I would introduce the head petitioner to you, Ms. Yoshi Shimono. I understand that she doesn't want to address the meeting, but she has asked whether Mr. Lee Smith could do so. But in order to hear from Mr. Smith, I need to seek leave of the meeting. So communicate in favour of hearing from the petitioner. Thank you. It's unanimous. Please approach the table there, and you've got 5 minutes. Please start by stating your name.
I'm Lee Smith. I live at 61 Balfour Street now as well.
Yeah, and I'm a prime petition person. Yeah, Yoshi Kokishi. I'm a neighbour.
We don't know.
Okay, 5 minutes starts now.
As your councilman expressed, your vision up there is pretty poor. It's an accident waiting to happen. I've seen it many a time myself, many near misses. I've actually seen a couple of fender benders there. They've been small touch-ups, but I see it being worse. I've needed around 2 kids coming flying out of there myself as well, due to poor visibility. The lines on the road are now not marked. They've been bitumised over. It's not marked. There is a sign, if you look hard enough to see it, behind the tree, to say that you've got to turn right. And it's just the priority of who goes where. Unfortunately, because it's a bend that becomes a priority road, that's not really conducive to everyone's driving understandings. And I think the people of Balfour Street, and I'll speak for them, would like to see that turned back into a T section. And that solved the priority to giving away misunderstandings of the driving there, because I think it's just confusing. And that's basically about it. Is there anything else? Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
They haven't built a house there yet on that corner.
yeah.
When they build that house, that visibility goes down to zero.
Is there anyone who is not neighbor around here? Never seen Balfour Street?
Yeah,
Our
this gentleman
street?
spoke about it.
Yeah, but is there anyone not really ever use it? There's a videos here, so if you want to video those, so you can understand now. There's a car is coming, but it's not really able to see from left to back, and then finally just last bit is coming out. So if you see those, you can understand how visibility is poor. And so if you someone who has never been that Balfour Street corner, just tell me so we can send this circulate video. Everyone knows where it is. Okay.
Just, yeah, I think if it's returned to a T-section resolve a lot of issues, that's only my suggestion. It's only suggested. And I know it's there for traffic control and speed control, but since day one it's been put in, it's been a disaster to turn left into Howard Street from Balfour Street. And I've seen many a times with the 3 cars that who goes first. So, that's all I've really got to say.
Thank you. Just hold it there in case there's any questions from the legal members. Are there any questions, Councillor De Backer?
Yeah, I actually went to visit the site and had a look, and I agree it's a maintenance issue. And I guess I'm just trying to temper expectations with the time frame that you're looking, not the sort of the bushes and everything, maybe that actually redoing a road and things like that. I know near where I live.
Sorry, Councillor, just got questions.
Okay, questions. Okay. So what sort of time frame are you looking at getting it?
I would strongly recommend sooner rather than later. And I know this doesn't take 5 minutes to happen. So patience is on from the patient people. I've complained about this many times by phone calls, but not really followed it through. And go to the bus issue. So,
And the first step is safety is a concern.
Right.
So I really want you to get the cut shrub. That's easy enough as a start with. Then you have some discussion time, buying time to be safe a little bit better. Then you do it. It's for
as much as it might not be as pretty, they wouldn't be bad if they were removed because it opens up the whole vision of the turn.
Thank you. Any further questions from the members? There being none, thank you very much for coming forward and for your petition. We'll now resume debate. Any further speakers in this matter? Councillor De Backer.
As you know, I'm always interested in data. So you have a look at the crash data on location SA browser, and it only showed one crash. Now that might have been one that's reported. But obviously, I'm with anything to do with data, I'm always mindful of having a look at the bigger picture. So there's similar junctions in Johns Road and a few other areas. So I guess if we're looking at redesign, it might be that we look at those designs throughout the city, and also just look at the data as well.
Thank you. Councillor Barnett.
Yes, I agree with all the comments about the safety and danger. I've actually had a few near misses, and just thank goodness for my excellent Prius brakes. But my consideration is more around that we know there's the vacant block there, and I'm not sure whether a plan has been put in, but it would be good if somewhere staff responsible, perhaps in planning all that, could make sure that the way that's designed and perhaps could be the timing could be of when we're actually going to be doing, I don't know, something about the addressing the safety issues, because they're in a sense two separate things, because they go to our development assessment panel, which is a separate committee and separate consideration. So I'm just hoping there that there may be opportunity, for a good design there.
Councillor Grigg.
I've just got a question to start with, which is a really unfair question, sorry, Director of Infrastructure and Environment. Do we know why we made that sign on their street? Now, I know it must be close to 10 years ago. It was an issue when I first got it. I remember it being an issue then. But we had just done the development then. I'm not sure whether you or the chair can advise what the rationale was behind that particular design.
Correct. Through the chair, I'm not aware of
why that decision was made. As part of the review of reviewing this petition, we'll look at the history of why that intersection was made that way and also improve it.
Sorry, I did ask me for my knowledge. There were a few of us around when it was done. Those who were here on council at the time might remember the original engineer's report suggested 5 road closures, and that was one of them. The community beat us up with placards and said, we don't want closures, but we want something that's going to work. So it was one of the 5 most severe interruptions in the whole Eastern network. There's another one on 3rd Avenue, which caused some consternation around how the stop signs worked. That was rectified. And there were, well, it was better than what it was. And there were speed humps put on McGuinness and Holling Road, and they weren't met with jubilation, but there were not many devices, but that was the most severe device. And there's been complaints for a long time about the landscaping, at the very least, not just configuration. So it's a start.
Okay, so I'm really interested in some solutions which might include total redevelopment, might not. It sounds like a simple, and I don't want to take away from what Councillor Harris said in February, but I'm just thinking, since we have a motion in front of us, whether I can move an amendment to that and whether that's allowable in a petition motion. I'd just like to check the capacity for me to do that before I offer it up.
It very much depends on what the amendment is. Generally, we just receive a note. CEO, any advice to the amendment?
Thank you, Mayor. I could defer to the Governor's Officer, but I think in terms of the recommended receiving of the petition, that doesn't, from a Governor's perspective, it's preferable to have a separate motion than to amend the motion to try and start including action because the staff haven't been given an opportunity to consider the contents of the petition and then bring back to you some advice.
And can I just add to that, neither have we informed the public about what your amendment might be, so they haven't had a chance either. So, but just test.
Well, let me test the waters. Well, I'm hearing from the deputy the issue, and from some of the members, the issue seems to be high with the shrubbery or the vegetation. I just thought, as an action out of today, it might be good to at least try and reduce the height of that immediately, from a safety perspective. It's not about redesign, it's not committing to any other future actions, but just saying, let's actually get so people can actually see, particularly on those exit entry points. I don't want Councillor Ripp to be crashed into, and nor do I want him to crash into Councillor Barnett. So it's probably a breakthrough. It's probably a good option for us to think about whether we could just do that. So I'll test the waters whether that would be an acceptable amendment there, and want to make sure it's not contrary to anything that Councillor Harris might be doing as well.
Could I advise you, look on the CEO's face, that but look, technically under the Act it's possible because it's not contrary, but we have a real strong convention around petitions because we want to hear from the public, and then we go away and work out what we should do, bring that back to council for a considered decision. What I'd like you to have comfort in is that the Director in charge is listening, and I think he's noted that action can be taken quite quickly. I just wonder whether the Director would be able to give us some response to what I'll now frame as a question. Is it possible that some action can be taken in short term whilst you're thinking of a longer term solution?
Can I ask a question?
Just a brief question. Yeah.
The brief question is, if you go to the corner of Emily and Bowker, and that followed previous director's ruling, and you'd have to find your own heights, it's either 1.2 or I think it's 1.2, that everything should be cut. If we did that on that corner before February, it doesn't need any other rules, and it will bring it down to that metre.
Okay, let's take another question.
We have got policy that I got pulled up on, that it can go down.
Because you've moved it, you tend to have spoken to, say that in summing up.
Yeah.
But Director, clearly there's information there that helps you answer your question. But of course the first thing is just compliance, but then something more than is that possible for short term?
Through the Chair, if this petition is resolved tonight, I will send staff out this week to inspect and make a recommendation to me about immediate pruning and or removal.
Thank you. And I think a CRM could get that initiated, Councillor Green. And just can I add, I think some of the Conservation Director, and as far as I understand, it's a metre high in terms of sightlines. I think sometimes the metre is measured off of the landscape surface, which is already about 200 or 300 times on the road surface. Is it, do you understand that the point of measurement might need thinking about?
Through the chair, yes, sources of courses. Investigate that. Generally, it's a metre high from the ground surface of the surrounding road.
Of the road, yes. Councillor, back to you. What do you wish to test?
I wish to test nothing. Thank you. I think my concerns have been heard. I'm happy to do that.
Thank you very much. Very wise decision. Any further debate on this item? No, if that's the case, back to you, Councillor Harris to sum up.
Yes, look, I've got some ideas. There is the total removal. I might not even personally agree with that. It doesn't mean it doesn't come on the table. But to the explanation, you gave a bit about the history, because it was why I wasn't on council, although I was still on the committee. And because we didn't close the roads we wanted to, we created a traffic flow from the shopping centre to the suburb. We didn't close off Ralph Street, so we went to the end and concentrated on Howard Street. That's why originally when we had those paint cans in the bitumen, you had that white line going around, and that's been changed a little bit. I believe we can come up with some pretty good answers for February. I definitely support the motion that's coming, taking it down. I've got a Commodore, but I've also got a four-wheel drive, easy to see in the four-wheel drive, at 1 metre, but below that it's harder. But even if now to February, we take down the western side and a little bit on the right, it gives you that clear vision from all ways. So I support that to come in. But by February, hopefully, I can, with others, not others, with people that know what they're doing, come up with some good answers. But it's almost as bad as getting to California Street and driving over those humps. Were built by the same people at the same time.
Yeah. That concludes the debate. All those in favour? Yes, it's carried unanimously. Thank you. Okay, so if you're here tonight, ladies and gentlemen in the gallery, talk about that item tonight. There'll obviously be something foreshadowed to come back in the February council meeting, so you're welcome to return to that meeting. If you wish to leave tonight at this point, that's fine.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Elected members, as I indicated there at the opening of the meeting, we do have a deputy tonight. The deputation request was received after the agenda was printed, so that's why it doesn't appear in the agenda, but it is in response to an item that's listed in the agenda, so it's perfectly acceptable, and I have therefore accepted it and welcome the deputation tonight. So let's ask Mr. Shane Wilkinson if you'd like to come forward. Just for the minutes, you state your name and address.
Shane Wilkinson, 5 Vesuvius Street, Prospect.
Give it your 5 minutes start now.
Good evening, elected members and staff. Thank you for the opportunity to present my presentation. Before I begin, I'd like to commend the Manager of Community Development, Brendan Bott, for his professional and sensitive management of the policy consultation process, which has obviously been going on for quite a while. A view held by many residents is that Council, while generally having good intentions, does not deliver consistent and effective consultation processes. The main issues appear to be the changing face of Prospect, new activities which have not been dealt with before, so there aren't precedents or processes in place to deal with them. Criteria used to determine who, if anyone, should be consulted. That is, who is likely to be affected and to what degree. The consultation period length. At times it's been a rush to meet an arbitrary deadline, whether it be a council meeting date or some other undisclosed imperative. The timing of the consultation. In many cases it seems the consultation is an afterthought, with the issue having been deliberated by council staff beforehand. The result is a rushed, ill-considered consultation document which simply asks yes or no, do you agree or not, rather than what suggestions or ideas do you have? Consultation facts provided to the public have at times been incomplete, unclear, and in some cases erroneous. The proposed community engagement and consultation policy, therefore, that's going to be a mouthful or not, therefore needs to provide residents with a clear and consistent statement of why, when and how council and its officers will interact with them. The policy, by and large, has its heart in the right place. The three objectives under Section 1 espouse the ideals of openness, accountability, involvement, proactivity. It's fundamental to good governance and so on. Yep, we're all feeling the love. Jumping down to 5.4, however, the policy then says, and I'll paraphrase what it actually says because it's legalese, council will consult where we are obligated by an act to do so, because we can't get out of that. But for everything else, council and only council will choose whether or not to consult. And we won't be accountable to anyone for the choice that we make, and we won't even have to consult before taking action or making a decision. This is in direct conflict with the policy's three purposes we were so warmed by just a few moments ago. The single clause effectively negates everything else in the policy. There is no commitment, only timidity and loophole. The report cites legal opinion as the driver for the inclusion of this clause, with the litigation against the City of Charles Sturt last year used as the reason to reduce council's risk exposure. My research indicates that that particular litigation came about from Charles Sturt employees failing to comply with their own established consultation policy. And in my opinion, that is just a single instance of poor administration, not a justification for a get-out-of-everything clause across all councils. Section 6 of the report opens with a statement, City of Prospect and its staff pride itself on the manner in which it consults and engages with the community in an open and transparent manner on various key projects, directions, documents and decisions. I sincerely hope the Council is prepared to back itself by providing a robust, comprehensive and binding community engagement and consultation policy, one where all parties have a clear and consistent understanding of Council's obligations, and one where Council commits to a measurable business standard for interaction with residents.
1 minute if you need.
The only way Council will be able to continue to pride itself on its engagement and consultation with residents is to remove clause 5.4. Otherwise, so endeth open, responsive and accountable local government in prosper. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from elected members? Councillor Barnett.
Yes.
Can I ask you to speak up as I have trouble hearing?
Yes, that's right. It's almost like we need a megaphone, but we're testing. Is my, and because I've got to angle myself so I address the chair, but still be clear. And you don't have to answer if you don't feel so to do so. But in your opinion, do you believe that Prospect Council's previous consultation policy was more in line with what, say, you as a resident would think was a better consultation policy than this proposed?
I think it's different. The other one had flaws, and I was very pleased to see that this one came up for review, but in its current form, it's ineffectual. The draft one is ineffectual because that clause means that council has no binding commitment to residents to have a consistent approach to how they consult with them, how to engage with them. And I think that's fraud danger.
Further questions from elected members? There being none, thank you very much for your presentation to us tonight. I seek leave of the meeting if people wish to pull that item forward. It's listed as item 13.4. I just seek leave of the meeting to pull that item forward to the members of the Chamber. That item. All those in favour of moving forward? Against? Thus, move forward and we'll deal with it now. So that item is at page 67. Anybody wish to move on current form?
It's fine.
Deputy Mayor,
I'll move to get on the floor.
wish to speak to it?
And other sections.
So second.
May I have a question
Any
before?
question?
Yes, my brief question in relation to the issue about clause 5.4 and about acquiring legal precedents. So I'm just wondering, is it only that particular Charles Sturt that has caused this risk management approach, or are there other legal precedents that may give more strength to 5.4?
The or director, who's
Yeah, through the chair, the Charles Sturt case might not only be the only example, it's certainly a high-profile example, which triggered a number of councils and the LGA to review their policies.
So, can we separate?
I haven't got a motion yet. So, but if we did have a motion, then I'd be happy to take it in parts. Another brief question. And
So if we don't move it, just lays on the table.
yes,
No, it's locked.
so it's not on the table, so it can't later. It's just not moved.
Yes, it's locked. It's nothing.
Okay. So, Sia, just clarify, please. We don't move this. What is the status of the?
Thank you, Mayor. If this motion is not moved, then it doesn't lay on the table. Nothing happens. You haven't adopted draft policy, and so the staff would be obliged to consider consultation against the draft policy, but we would bring a report back to you in terms of how you want to see this matter resolved, because we cannot continue using a draft policy. We will need to formalise a policy that meets your expectations and those of the community.
Presumably, Sia, if this doesn't get up, you'll take it as a need to talk to us, and I presume you bring it to a workshop. Would that be the pathway? So it's not just the draft policy would stay in place. What would the next steps be should this not get up tonight?
Look, through the chair, clearly we would need to find a renewed direction from council. I mean, this goes back, as the report talks about, quite a way to early 2018. Paused for a little while due to caretaker mode. Coming out of those workshop discussions and council reports, this was the direction prior to the consultation. So if this is no longer the direction, we would need to find a process to have a renewed direction.
Thank you. Any further questions? So that's one still want to have a second. I do not. Motion doesn't get, there's no motion, doesn't get moved. Okay. Thank you. For those of you in the gallery, that ends the excitement over that item. There isn't any. Thank you for your deputation. I think you can sense from that where the elected members are at, and I imagine the staff will work out what the next steps are and keep in touch with them around that if you're interested in that topic. We'll now move on to the next item on the agenda. So if you were only here for that item, please feel free to go if you want. Item 9, motions on notice. There's one from me. Look at that, unusually. I'm moving a motion on planning policy in respect to future resolution. Page 5 of the agenda. Just read the motion out and then I'll speak to it from the chair, as I sometimes speak to motions. That the Chief Executive Officer and the Mayor on behalf of Council advocate for and seek appropriate planning policy with the new state government for greater protection of the City of Prospect's existing housing typology, such that it establishes greater powers for Council to refuse demolition and new development applications within the residential zone which diminish or otherwise detrimentally impact on the established character of the existing form in the subject street or the city as a whole. In speaking to the motion, I think it's fairly self-evident. I've tried to carefully describe it. We simply do not have the power to refuse a demolition simply because we're not happy with what's coming next, or because we want to retain what's there unless it's protected by a heritage order or in some way in a heritage conservation zone which can influence the replacement house, but it can't prevent the demolition of the existing house. The community sentiments are really clear around this, and whilst this is going to be a difficult item for the planning industry and the department to deal with, what I'm reflecting here is community sentiment. People don't like us approving the demolition of character-rich old homes, and they don't seem to complain about the triple-fronted cream brick ones, but never mind, but they may one day, but at the moment they complain about the character-rich ones. And when we say that we can't stop it, they simply don't believe us. And whilst I can justify that, and I'm sure those of you who've interacted with the planning system for some time justify it, it's really frustrating having that conversation with people because we ourselves might not want that house demolished. And we need the law to change to enable us to refuse demolition that doesn't have a heritage order over it. We simply don't have that available to us. In terms of the house that replaces it, it has to comply with our development plan, but I don't believe our development plan really gives us the power that we want. We have received a presentation from the staff regarding how they assess properties against the plan. I'm not convinced, I have to say, that they are applying the future character statements as fully as they could, and that's a topic for another day. But it is very hard to describe the type of house that we want to fit into a street full of cottages or bungalows or villas or whatever it might be. And again, trying to explain that to the public is exceedingly difficult because for them it's pretty clear what should happen. I've made this motion deliberately address the residential zone because we have several zones, the commercial zone being the most obvious one with this I don't think needs to apply. The corridor zones, again, I think is an area where there is some disappointment, but largely people are happy with the revolution. They might be happy with the exact nature of what's replacing it, but in the main, people are quite excited, the ones I speak to, about that evolution on the main roads. But it's in the side streets that people are really, really unhappy. And I think this motion attempts to distill that down to exactly what I think they're after. And I don't think it's wrong for us to advocate and lobby for exactly this with the planning minister. We have a new government, we have a new planning minister. Our local member who really believes this sentiment is now in government and can lobby for us from a position within government. So I commend it to you. I'm not sure where it will lead, but at this stage I'm asking for support to enable the CEO and I to advocate for these changes. Thank you. Do I have a second?
Yes.
Councillor Barnett.
Yes, I commend the Mayor for moving this. It was quite an obvious sentiment during, certainly in Westford, during the recent council elections, and other people across the city and outside the city as well. Similar things are, I think, sentiment is happening particularly in the inner ring city councils like ours. And we do, I think it's the absolute right timing with the review of a very extensive review by the state government at the moment of planning matters. So I think the time is right, and I hope everybody supports it.
Any further debate? Councillor Batt.
Yes. Look, I'll be supporting the motion, but probably slightly different reasons. I'll just be honest, my heart broke when I read this. I've been on the 4-year journey of changes, and the elected member who's brought this was also the same person with the previous Labor government, who looked the community in the eye and promised that they were going to protect character. And I wanted to bring a motion, and I was refused by the CEO because I actually think that the service levels that we have within the council, administration, and some of what's being built is so far removed from what our development policy says. I mean, I'm on the development assessment panel, and I know how hard it is, the council assessment panel. But this whole thing of it's not going to wash because of legal opinion and this kind of thing, we never say no. We don't say no enough. We say yes. So no surprises there's an election going on. But we just must remember that the previous Labor government who introduced this policy, it was City of Prospect with some of the senior staff and elected members who consulted with the community. We got consultants in, tens of thousands, probably hundreds of thousands of dollars in consultation. So if we can't sign it and stand by our development plan, what the are we doing? And I think we're going to get laughed at if we go to the state. And look, bring it on. I would welcome an external review of the current practices within the City of Prospect Planning Department and why we're getting the results we are. So consistently, we are getting plans that are excessive in bulk scale. The setbacks are not permitting street trees. We need to address, I asked specific questions of senior staff and I said, look, this is in the development plan. They said, no, it's not. Here it is on page 30. Totally ignored. So things like double garages with one door, fine-grained detailing, use of brick, use of sandstone, so full rendered houses in existing character streets. And what this says is, hands up, we failed. And I feel like we've really let down the community. And again, we were led down the path of this is going to be great for our council, development, it's good for the area, and everyone recognises that we need diversity of housing. But what it's basically been is give an inch and take a mile. And I couldn't bring a motion today to address some of the service levels, which I think, so just the same as we'd have street sweeping or garden maintenance and things like that, the service level that's been delivered with the design outcomes, considering that we actually went to the state and helped develop our own development plan, and then we're putting our hand up and saying, I'm sorry, we can't administer it. And I just think that's incredibly sad. So yes, I will be supporting the motion, but I will also be bringing forward a motion in February's meeting to address the service levels currently within the planning department and how we can better address the design outcomes internally. So on that note, I'd encourage people to support the motion. Good luck, that's all I'm saying, because the horse has bolted, and I just hope that if we can't change things externally, we can change things internally.
Any further debate? Harris?
Yes, listening to the previous speaker and a couple other things that I think was New Year's Eve, I went past Channel 9 or what was Channel 9, I think, in King Street or North Adelaide, and see what's been knocked down there. I went to another place to see, these are outside our areas, where a couple of heritage houses went down to build something, the company went broke, heritage houses gone. Looking at some old photos, you do that as you get older, and I found the first child creche that we had here down by the market that was heritage listed, and with, I don't think I can say McMahon Services here and Multiplex, these companies that gave a commitment that the old creche, women's first working women's creche, would be shifted to a house in North Adelaide, the Commonwealth Bank would be built, and then it would come back again. And if you go down to the market, you'd never see it again because it's gone. And so I'm actually supporting it because it is a bite in the cherry, but I do take on board with the previous speaker. But I also think it comes from a lot of, we have a go, we try something, and not always does it work. And if it doesn't work, well, let's try it another way. And to me, things haven't worked in the side streets, more than the bigger streets, haven't worked. And I see this as a bit of a chance to come back and try and do something. Our planning department has to follow them through. You go to Burwood Avenue, and I contacted you over 12 months ago about a house in Burwood. It still hasn't got planning for it. We're talking about ordinary house, and the old house is gone. So I'm hoping this will rectify a lot of those things, and I know it will, as long as we can, at least if they get through. So I'm supporting the motion.
Further debate?
During the recent council election process and hitting the streets, this is probably question which came up the most, and it was the one which was least possible to answer. People understood the other aspects of what we're doing in the city of Prospect, but when you explained that we given some leeway on the corridors but wanting to tighten up the side streets, and then say, but you're not. Whilst it may not be an ideal situation that we're in, I think that anything we can do, if we don't do nothing, we'll sit back and say we're trying. So I will be supporting the motion, and I think that if there's a continued groundswell of further motions around this topic, then we will get somewhere.
Councillor Rick.
Also, thanks to the previous speakers. Also, a point, I don't know if other elected members had the same sort of feedback. When I was out there door knocking, people were actually raising with me their concerns about why they're not being notified about certain development being knocked down or certain development going up in their streets. A lot of people, that's still that education problem. A lot of them aren't aware that council's rights to notify are actually also taken away. So councils actually can't, for simple development, where it used to notify residents around, actually can't do that anymore. And I think that's a serious problem in the community. So I don't know if that can be addressed in that your motion there or a future motion, but rights to notify, I think, is a serious issue. And there's that perception out there that council aren't notifying. Well, it's actually not. Council can't notify anymore. And I think that's something that the council needs to address in communicating to the residents.
Thank you. Any further debate? I'll take the opportunity to sum up. Thank you for those presentations. Some delivered with passion, which I recognise, and I think that you all concur that this motion reflects common community sentiment. I won't for 1 minute pretend that this is going to be a simple issue to resolve. I simply think that on occasion, put things in the words of the people that we represent, take it to the government and say, you represent them too. Politics is the art of the possible. And I think Councillor DeBacker quite succinctly pointed out that the last minister was interested in other matters, interested in reform, interested in increasing density, interested in limiting urban sprawl, interested in saving the Barossa and McLaren Vale. In some instances, I think that minister and that government did some good things. They're now locked up from sprawling development. In terms of our agenda, I think we achieved a lot of things under that former ministry, but that's gone. We have a new history in front of us. We have a local member who's passionate about this issue, who's always said to me that says you can't wait to get in the government to be able to help us. Well, now's the chance. And I've spoken to her about Highton Creek as well, and asked her to get that back on her agenda internally, because that might be another motion that I might bring here or someone else might as well. In terms of our history in this area, as it was touched on by one of the speakers, we've certainly had some gains. In 2007, the current residential development code was passed. It took 18 months to get that off the minister's desk. We've written it, done all the consultation, but that's how long it took to actually get it into law. And I'm very pleased that I let that lobbying at the final stage to make sure that it got gazetted. That brought in the current rules, which, as I mentioned before in my speech, I don't think we're enforcing well enough. I've made that known to the staff. They're not surprised by my opinion. In 2012, we had a negotiation with the then state government about corridor development. As part of that negotiation, we received a lot of exemptions from the application that was intended to apply to all of the city outside of the heritage listed areas. The residential code is pretty much a rubber stamp approach to planning, whereas a typical brick veneer house can be approved in an allotment without too much more processing. It applies to new development areas in particular. Applying it in our city was seen as an outrage, and so we negotiated to vastly limit the area that was exposed to application of the residential code. We also negotiated to almost double our heritage listings, and I'm pretty proud to be involved in the final negotiations over that, which was, in essence, an arm wrestle. So we've gained a lot. It's time, in my view, to gain some more. There's a few ways to achieve what we're talking about here. Heritage conservation zones pretty much achieve this outcome straight off the bat. So that's one way. There are other ways. And I think, as Councillor Barnett pointed out, there's a growing sentiment in the whole inner metropolitan area to find better ways to deal with the particular character of heritage. Just quickly with regards to the right to notify, it is a separate issue. And I welcome a motion at some point from somebody if you wish us to overtake for that. Pretty frustrating talking to someone who, as a builder, negotiated to tear down their fence to build a brick wall on their boundary, and all they get is a notification about coming on the premises to do it. and no notice from us at all about the house that's going to be built because we're not permitted to provide that notification. I think that's really wrong, quite frankly, but it's not the purpose of this motion. So I urge you to support this so we can get on with starting this task, and I look forward to other interventions to improve our planning outcomes as best we can in the future. Thank you. And that concludes the debate. All those in favour? Against? It's carried unanimously. Thank you. And Councillor Barnett has the next motion on notice regarding trackless trams. Councillor Barnett.
Yes, you see the motion, and this comes out of some a lot of frustration on my part. I've been in other parts of the world and seen and researched, and I find that there's far more advanced possibilities for transport, such as the trackless trams, than what we currently are having imposed on us with the City of Adelaide, and then if future plans by other parties looking to implement them down, say, Prospect Road and whatever. Well, I think it's time to get with the times, get with trackless trams, get with trams are now being looked at in other cities in Australia, not just our capital cities either. Personally, I think we were sold a pup with the second-hand trams that we've currently got. They're noisy. They have, to my mind personally, hideous overhead catenaries. They're not part of any modern transport system to save our environment. I commend this to you so that we can start getting some movement in this area with trackless trams. So let's get on board and on track.
Thank you. Who has a second? Councillor Banger, you can speak. Any further debate? There being no further debate, Councillor Barnett, I'm not going to ask you whether you need to sum up your own speech.
I don't think so.
Thank you. It concludes the debate. All those in favour? Yes, carried unanimously. Next item 10 is questions with notice. Are there any questions with notice? There aren't any, sorry. Catching up.
Yeah.
Questions without notice, are there any of those? Councillor Green.
Thank you to the Director of Community and Planning. Just in terms of the conversation we just had around the right to notify, what steps would we need to take in order to remedy that or to change the way we do notify? What is possible, I guess, is my question.
Through the chair, what's possible in relation to planning? Challenging question. There's a new system coming which is going to set new rules. My view of the new system is the rules around notification won't be much different. In fact, there might be less notification again. The specifics of that is still to be seen. I guess it leaves us with the option of lobbying, sending letters, that type of approach. Not sure what will come of it. If we don't ask, we won't get. The system's coming. The community engagement charter has been rolled out by the state, and that sets that framework. The state as a whole will be expected to abide by. So we're a long way down that path. Trying to do it our way.
Thank you. Councillor.
So while Council under the current framework are not permitted to formally provide notification to neighbours, what informal measures can Council use?
Chair, legally, no. And
illegally? No, I withdraw that.
I have an answer to that.
Any further, Councillor Barnett?
I have a follow-up question on that. So can I, as an elected member, we get notifications of planning things, including demolitions, and I'm not on the council's development assessment panel. So would I be allowed to notify residents and say residents association?
Very good.
Yeah, that may be more complex than the question that's forward. However, we would have to probably get some advice initially, given that we provide the elected members a copy of the list of information, and therefore you're passing that on. Then I've possibly got us, I guess, before I go on to the next one, that could then be construed as council is undertaking some informal notification. So we'd need to check on that. I did have another point, but it's escaped me.
Any further, Councillor Barnett? Councillor Bruce?
Sorry, Councillor Barnett's comment. Is there anything that stops me as a private citizen who has received information on the Prospect Council website about development groups or development applications, providing information to neighbours about that development, as I may or may not have done in the past, and was advice I could?
Director.
Through the chair, I don't believe any information found on council's website that is further distributed would be a breach of any act. The only thing I guess to be mindful of is by providing advice if something's happening, it actually doesn't give that person anywhere to go other than to ask the questions of us, but it doesn't give them a legal opportunity to be heard or write a representation.
Thank you. Further questions? Councillor Back.
Through the, under the Act, we have to have a development register anyway.
Through the chair, there is a requirement for the act. Through the chair, I believe we put one up about 12 months ago. I haven't checked it in recent months, but it is, I believe it's there. I'll check and get back to you. But it was put there. How regularly it's being updated, I need to check.
So Director, just while you're up to speed, does that look exactly like the one that you send the elected members?
It'll be very similar.
So presumably it's updated every month as ours is updated.
Through the chair's yours fortnight.
So it's different.
That's what I would have to check.
Perhaps a memo to us just confirming that would be good. Thank you, Director. Any further questions? Councillor Harris.
Yes, what people might have noticed the last few weeks has been pretty hot. My question is, have we increased the watering of street trees and parks in general with the upgrade of the temperature?
Director.
Through the chair, yes, it was brought to our attention last week. A couple of members actually raised it with us about a number of reserves. I personally went out with a couple of staff and we inspected a number of reserves. We acknowledged that they were looking quite brown. So as of last week, one of the irrigations was increased in terms of water consumption. Our street tree truck is not working, hasn't had any increased work, but it is working at its full capacity at the moment.
Thank you for the first answer, which was good. The second answer is, can we somehow increase, particularly the new trees that were planted not long ago, buckets of water or something?
Through the chair, the latest edition of had an article for residents about the importance of looking after our young trees, encouraging them to increase or add to our watering regime. So that's one method we've used to improve that. I'm happy to raise it with my manager for a meeting tomorrow about the status of those trees, of the young trees.
Thank you. Further questions about that? Remember where? Councillor Pearce.
I did have a complaint about the Ernst Park. They're going brown, which I raised with Simon, and I received a reply back today saying the watering had increased in 2 days to 3 days a week, and a couple of pictures showing very green, I think. And so I replied to that complaint today, and he was satisfied.
Thank you for that statement.
Sorry.
Questions?
Okay.
Councillor Barnett.
Yes, just following up on the last few questions. Would it be possible for residents to be able to use like good grey water, like say from the washing machine, or something like that? Would that be possible to use that?
Tree trees.
Yes.
President.
Through the chair, I'll have to take that question on advisement. On notice, and I'm happy to do some research. I think to answer your question, initially I'd have to say no. We'd rather it be rainwater or mains water. But I'm happy to do research on that before I let a memo to look into that.
I'm thinking like the final rinse, you know.
Deputy Mayor.
My question is also directed to the most popular director of the evening, Director of Infrastructure, and it relates to the memo which was circulated this afternoon. So the question is, the content of the memo seems to revolve around the remote irrigation system, but the concern that was brought to me was not only around that, it was also due to, or a concern that the current contractor wasn't maintaining and preparing the field in accordance with best practice. So the question is, are we also going to investigate that aspect of engagement with that contractor before we vote?
Director or CEO actually in that memo, so I might start with CEO.
Thank you, Mayor. So the Director has actually been on annual leave, and so I've responded to the query that was received today in relation to the quality of the turf at Broadview Oval and the problems that we've got with the dry patches and clearly the watering regime. Part of reviewing the maintenance of that oval will review the total maintenance of the oval, so what is the regime in relation to providing not only a usable, suitable and operating irrigation system, but how the oval is fertilised and how it's actually maintained on top dress, because when I inspected it today, it is certainly in a poor condition, and I'm not educated in it, but certainly is a problem, and I've instigated a full review of the contractual services we have with that.
Thank you.
Just a substantive question, when do we expect the review to take place? Because for that, one of our key reserves in the city of Prospect, getting that sorted is critically important, or else it could have an impact on a large portion of our community for the entire winter season. So the question is, when will this review happen, and I pray it actually taken.
Sorry, CEO.
Yes, thank you. So I contacted the manager of the portfolio today, and she's already discussing the issues with our staff and with the contractor, and so we'll implement that review immediately and bring forward any sort of action that we can in order to address the concerns being expressed about playing quality.
Thank you. Any further questions without notice? Councillor Ritter.
It's just a general question in terms of petitions. When petitions this council are received and noted, does council actually communicate with in any way to the people that have actually filled in the petition to keep them abreast of what council are doing?
I'd like to tackle that one directly, petition about any matter. CEO.
That's why I didn't think it was appropriate earlier on. But
Thank you, Mayor. So when we receive a petition, we contact the head petitioner to advise them of the process under which we undertake that. Following consideration, we also advise the head petitioner in terms of any action that will be undertaken, and I'll seek advice in terms of how we maintain contact with them throughout that action.
Governance.
Yes.
Mayor, I guess so. I intend to liaise with the head petitioner, advising them that it's been accepted, the petition, then further when it's been presented to council, inviting them to come to the meeting, and then if they do come, clearly tonight they did. If they don't, then we would advise them again, as CEO referred to, the action that the decision council has made as a result.
Thank you. Further question, Councillor?
so it's only the head petitioner that's communicated to through the whole process. Is that correct?
Clarify, that's it.
Yeah.
Further questions without notice? Make it a round dozen, it's only 11.
let me think.
Okay, we'll move on. Cricket. Minutes of committees, regional subsidiaries and other bodies. Item 12.1, Eastern Waste Management Authority Board meeting minutes. Recommendations on page 7. Somebody happy to move it? Current form. Councillor Barnett.
Yes, as the one of council's EHA board members are there, I'm happy to move.
East Waste. Sorry, not EHA.
Oh, correction. I'm just happy to move it.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Rick, wish to speak to it? Any further debate? There being nothing, there's debate. All those in favour? Against? Carried unanimously. Reports for decision, item 13.1, the dual Ghana naming of Prospect and Broadview Ovals, recommendations on page 16. Councillor Harris, happy to move it?
Yes.
Speak to it.
Yes. Thank you. Unusual, but I've actually written down some stuff to do this. Okay.
Councillor.
Hello, brothers and sisters, you see. I move a recommendation, and in doing so, I'd like to acknowledge a small group. I remember Uncle Lewis, Leo, Dominic, 2 other Indigenous and 2 other white people in the late 80s started the ball rolling. I look at this recommendation not just being a bonding or reconciliation between the Ghana, the Nindi and people, citizens of Prospect, but a real healing and recognition process between Prospect residents and all First Nation people, past and present. I wish to thank the hard work staff. I want to name people in particular because over a period of time, there's been a lot of people that put a heck of a lot of effort into it. So I'd like to thank all the staff, the effort they put in to get it where we are now. This recommendation, I believe, is a great step in a great history prospect. I will tell you right now, there will be people opposed, the blatant, and I had to cuss out a few swear words there. There will be racist people that oppose it. But more important, there will be residents that just don't understand. So they won't be for racist attitudes or bad attitude. They just don't understand maybe why we're doing this. But they can be taught, and it will be up to us, hopefully, to teach them that. I've handed you all a piece of paper tonight. It's a copy of the, I think I did, statement of heart, the Uluru statement that came in 17, and I'll be bringing this in some way back to the council, the next council, I mean next council meeting, not next council, if need be. I thank all of you for the support, and I end by saying, always was, always will be Aboriginal land.
Thank you. We'll have a seconder. Councillor Green, wish to speak to us?
Look, just briefly, I'm also very proud to be part of a council who has gone down this path of reconciliation in terms of our action plan. I think that just a couple of short years, we didn't do a whole lot. In the last 12 months, we insisted that their Indigenous language be reflected in new planning development down on Churchill Road. That was a major achievement, I think, for the council to do that. And we've started the dual naming process. What I'd hate to see this to be the end of it. I think we've got a lot more work to go ahead of us in terms of dual naming our facilities. We've got a new one being built. We've got an Indigenous name as part of that as we get closer to September next year, or September this year rather, and talk about what that's going to look like. But I also just want to acknowledge Councillor Harris. I know this has been something that he has been talking, I know, to me and to others for a long time. It's something that he's very passionate about. I suspect we wouldn't be talking about this if it wasn't for Councillor Harris. I just want to, I don't often do it, but just acknowledge his hard work. Not because he doesn't work hard, but just it's, we all work hard. I think particularly this topic is something that Councillor Harris, user, and I've coined the phrase, has been a great champion on. So thank you, Councillor, for that. I'm really supportive of us doing some very public launches and paper talks about possibly something at a football match in the Indigenous round, and also talks about the spring fair, hopefully before the Prospect at Broadview Oval been a great opportunity. But I think we should also not let this opportunity pass as we presumably pass this motion tonight. To actually promote the fact that we've done this, I think is important. There are only 2 people in the survey who suggested that we don't do it. I think that's good odds. I suspect though there's a whole lot of others. In my door knocking, this wasn't a huge issue for lots of people, but people had very strong views on one way or the other. But we've been elected here as leaders, and this, I think, is a really good example of leadership. So thank you, Councillor Harris, and I certainly support the motion for everyone.
Thank you. Further debate?
I support the motion as well. What I want to say is quite blunt in relation to the 2 former speeches. There's an inconsistency with the capitalisation on one of the words there, so I just want to make sure that in the recommendations we've got the capitalisation right at the start of it. It says the Yata with a capital Y, and it uses capital Y at times during the report, but it also uses a lowercase y. So I just want to just also capitalisation
question. Well, may I ask for clarification on that?
I think that'd be an excellent idea.
Correct.
Thanks, and through you, Mr. Mayor, I can confirm that the recommendation is accurate. So despite confusion throughout the report with an occasional capitalisation of the Y in Yata, it's not capital.
So just while you're on your feet, item 3, Broadview says Yata to the Yata. Only the word Yata is lowercase. That's right. That's correct. That's correct. Okay. Deputy Mayor, back to you. Councillor Barnett.
Yes, I'm very pleased that we're continuing in this way. And I mean, I think just saying to people that, you know, may be disapproving of this, look, it's been around for years, like when I was in Wales. And so they're very proud of their language, just like we should be, and Aboriginal people should be of a language. That's and you know, you've gone there and you've got dual names for towns, for you know, signposts everywhere. So I don't really see having a problem with you know, going back to our Aboriginal people, just like the Welsh people have gone back to their Gaelic path, and so continue on this way. We have, in my research on this before, there's a whole, I think, suburb in, not sure if I'm Canberra, or at any rate, whole suburbs that have all their street names, all have Aboriginal names from their Aboriginal language. So I commend the motion to everybody.
Further debate?
Look, I too support all of the recommendations, and I too echo Councillor Groot's comments. I remember on election day, Councillor Harris's passion on this topic and having a conversation with him on it, and you could tell that he's genuinely real heart and passion towards it. So congratulations, Councillor Harris, on where this is at. I just want to seek some clarification in point 2 and point 3, just where it says, you know, all council publications, external communications and internal reports. Is that referring to when those items are being discussed, or is that meaning all communications that get sent out, or is it just when the communication's been sent out about Prospect Oval? I just want to get some clarification just so I understand exactly what point 2 and 3 mean.
Through the chair, the way we would suggest that is it's when Prospect Oval being the Yata is being talked about, right. Use both names under all circumstances.
Sure, okay.
We try to do with Charles Kane under years.
Sure, I just think that be a bit clearer.
Further debate?
I also support the motion. I do have a question though. Is there a special reason to why these 2 ovals are given the opportunity for dual learning?
Through the chair, the Reconciliation Action Plan suggested that we would start with the prime pieces of public infrastructure, which we already have covered 2, and then Prospect Oval would be over. Most well used, the most accessible, so start with that.
Anything further, Councillor Wing?
So is there an opportunity to give names to a meeting room or public or a space in the Euclid building?
Directly.
Through the chair, absolutely.
Just briefly from the chair on support of this, it may be, some people claim, not a perfect step, and I'm happy to acknowledge that. Young people didn't play football, they certainly didn't have a South Australian National Football League, so it's easy to say that this should be done, but I think it's up to us to determine how we refer to our more ancient past, and we're not going to do it very well. I think this is a small step in that direction. It's just one of a number of steps under our Reconciliation Action Plan, and I'd like to be a lot more, whether it be places or meeting rooms or events or artwork or some other education or consultation, some other way of engaging the community, so this becomes everybody's story, not just the story of this chamber and this total of staff we have at the moment. And by way of illustrating that, I happened to dawn on one of the people who petitioned against the name change. And that person's view very strongly was, well, there's no need for us to handle this anymore. Kevin Runn's already apologised. Isn't that the end of it? And I just thought to myself, isn't that an indication that we haven't really had this discussion very well with our community? For someone to think that there's not more work to be done, that it doesn't have multiple parts to it. And then that one apology, of course, about the stolen generation, that's all he apologised for, that apology somehow had some relevance to the naming of our overs. Thought, and I didn't criticise that person, I actually thanked them for putting in a submission, because it's a very brave thing to do, whether you're for or against. And I just left that premises thinking we've got to do a better job of having that conversation with people. So I urge the staff and all of us to keep doing that. There were a couple of interesting bits of feedback. One from the North Adelaide Footy Club that they're quite happy to have a sign because they haven't got any at the moment. True, but he is on Menzies present and on Wilcox. Of course, our new entrance off the main North Road does have a lovely rubber card. So there is a sign, but now there's a real challenge about how we incorporate this name into that very artistic sign. But I just thought it was an interesting bit of feedback that I hadn't realised before, and I've been around for a long time. And there are other bits of information I think that we can glean from the feedback which will help us do a better job going forward. And I concur with Councillor Nguyen. There's many more things we can do and should do, and I'm confident that Councillor Harris has our interests and knows the broader community at heart with his role on that small committee working with matters. Thank you. Any further debate? Back to you, Councillor Harris. Use the sum up.
I was going to use one word, but I'll use a couple of others. I listened to your questions and that, and the other major oval we have is down on Churchill Road, and that already has a name. So this would be our fourth name plus the streets that we had. Another previous councillor spoke there, Port Adelaide, in the old Port Canal, and you have to have a certain age to understand that. It's an Aboriginal walk through there of the old people, and all the streets through there have got dual naming on them. I think they've been added later date, but they're sort of through. I think we can do a whole lot of other things, but just to go with what the Mayor said there, the importance or whatever the Prospect Oval and Broadview Oval, like the football areas. Football was a sport that was invented so commies could have a rest from cricket years ago, and so they had a ball game, so you get beginners might be that good. But the true beginning of football and soccer and other ones, but particularly football, was so people could get together, play together, and enjoy a Saturday or a Sunday, not Sundays in those days. The Saturdays and that to relax in our war times, places like that, where they couldn't get a round ball, they got this other stupid shape, which was a rugby ball originally. And so it was that joining together. So to me, when you see Prospect Oval, not so much Broadview, but Prospect Oval is a real centre point of Prospect. And over the last 104 years, I think, of football, but now in modern days, there's been a whole vast generation of people coming. The Italians have come, the Greeks have come, the Vietnamese people have come, now the Indians. So it's a whole mixture. And I think our greatest respect to the Ghana people that have walked on this land before, very seldom lived here, or lived over in India, in that sort of area, that we're respecting their land to be able to be used for others. I'm very proud that we picked those sort of areas. When I was originally going to close it, I was just going to say, none but tell. Thank you.
Move the vote, all those in favour? Yes, it is carried unanimously. One 13.2, sample survey 40 km/h council-wide speed limit. Page 32. Councillor Group wishes to move it. Wish to speak to.
I would love to. Thank you very much. I feel like we're making some progress. This is very exciting. So I want to start by thanking the staff, particularly the director who's just come back from leave, for the work on this particular topic. I say it every time I stand up, it is a passion of mine, not necessarily to get to the end point, but to have the process and have the discussion. So thank you. I think the survey is really shows some interesting results. I'm assuming everyone's read it, so I'm not going to go through that. But in terms of people supportive of it, it was something like 56% from the survey, and most people who live in Prospect as well. So I think that's some good signs. I just had a couple of questions. One is about the proposed consultation going forward. So the intent is, and I totally understand the intent of putting notices in rates, putting fires in rates notices. We've got 32% of people across the two groups. So my first question to the Director is, how do we reach those 32%?
Through the Chair, very good question. Happy to take that on notice and provide a response back. That's something that we as a council administration need to sit down with our, not just our engineers, but our community people, have to be a conversation people about how we can better best engage. So happy to take that on notice.
Okay, that would be good. I just want to make sure we don't miss those people out, because even though some people don't pay rates, they're obviously still here a lot. So we want to make sure we incorporate them, and that they form part of the community consultation policy that I'll leave for another day. The other question I had, I just want to be really, really clear about a process issue. So when we first, when the council first sought advice on the 40 kilometre zone limits, 40 kilometre limit, the advice came back to us that if we want to go down that path, we needed a number of things to happen. One of them was a resolution of council, one was agreement with the local MP, one was a majority would have to survey. Now, I'm just trying to work out where this fits into that process. We don't have a resolution of council yet. I'm not proposing that we'll have one tonight. I presume we don't have a formal correspondence with the local member to seek their view on that. But we are doing a consultation process. So if we were to make a decision or resolution later this year or in this term, to go down the path of implementing the zone, does this process fulfil the requirement to do a community consultation? So I wouldn't want us to do this, then we make a decision, then we say we'll go to community consultation. That would seem not reasonable. So I just want to check where this fits into that process, and if we can use it for a number of things.
Director, through the Chair, that's exactly right. This will form part of that consultation. So this will satisfy the state government's requirement in terms of engagement. We won't need to go back. The next steps will be us providing responses to the community engagement, and then maybe seek council endorsement to seek further.
Thank you. So just one last thing, just to satisfy my curiosity in terms of the process. We've not made a resolution to proceed with a 40 kilometre zone across the city, but we are, by virtue of this motion, which I'll be supporting and voting for, agreeing to do one component of that process. Is that okay?
Director. Through the Chair, yes, we're satisfied that this process will satisfy the state government's requirements.
Okay, so just to be very clear, we're not making a resolution, we're moving to this, but we're just doing a community consultation, which hopefully will help us be informed about that decision, which may or may not come later on. I think. So we're all clear. So thank you. I sort of commend the motion. I think there's a fair bit of work in this. I also spoke to people on the Broadview Spring Fair Day, and there is a motion in this. Some people, if you read through the comments, some people are really super keen to have this. Other people are really super keen not to. Some people think it's a nanny state, some people think certification costs go slower. So there's a whole mixed bag in it. So I'll be interested in the broader survey and what that actually results, but I would really encourage the administration to look at 30% and work out how we capture those people, particularly if we use this data on as a reliance tool for making a decision.
Do I have a second? Councillor Harris, you wish to speak to it?
Yes, only very briefly, because I follow up the other previous comment. Just lately, the last couple of months, we've been putting out that old trailer. It's got the speed sort of things that are coming. And in Howard Street, actually just by where this problem was, I flew along there and I was doing 38. I felt I was flying along, but I was doing 38. And I pulled up and I thought, wow, I'll go back and watch other people. And I watched, and most of them done 38, 39, some were over 40, but a lot of them were under. So I went away and I thought to myself, well, how can those people oppose a 40 kilometre? Is there only doing 40? So there's no law, it's only Victor Harbour that worried when we brought in the 50. They all thought they'd have to increase speed. if we don't have the 40, we don't have to increase speed. So that fits. Two went over, one was 57, I'm not going to say there was speakers here tonight, but one was 57, another one wasn't. And I actually spoke to those people. I said, well, you've got a big problem. You can't say you want the 50 if you're not even doing the 50. So you're not sticking by the law. If you've got to stick by a law, you might as well stick by this one. But the people I've spoken to, people I've looked at, the only difference I've got in some of the paperwork here is time when we sort of had putting in calming devices about when we put in the other. We had calming devices before we done the 40, but they fitted in various things. And I wouldn't like to see, and I know we had a previous council disagrees with this, but I wouldn't like to see us take all our things away. Yeah, I'd still like to see them there, the one in California Street, to cause us a few problems. But I endorse going those steps further, and I've always said, and I've said in all my material, that I support the 40. You convince me, why not? You convince me to the general public, why should we have to go fast? I haven't got the little tin lids anymore, but I live opposite the school. I tell you what, we have a 25 kilometre thing, and I would say 3 out of 5 cars abide by that. You know, they don't even get down to the 40 and that stuff. They're doing still the 50s. Hopefully that will change. So I'm supporting the next process as we go along.
Further debate?
Just to clarify a question and then I'll follow on. So the question is that as a result of this, this motion tonight, we will then go out to community-wide consultation. Is that correct?
Correct.
Through the chair, that's correct.
Okay. Not sure whether I can foreshadow or whether the council is planning to do this, but I would like to foreshadow, so I'm not sure the wording, foreshadow, I'll give the mover and second the opportunity to include it, however I'm supposed to word it, but I'd like to foreshadow that part of this community-wide consultation is to include a letter to all households, which picks up on the renters point that Councillor Groot successfully mentioned before, and I totally agree with Councillor Groot's sentiment there. So I would like that community-wide consultation to include a letter to households, business operators and property owners, if possible. I'd like to foreshadow that and obviously give the opportunity to move and second or first if possible, please.
Sorry, Councillor, you're convinced that it's not included in the consultation plan?
Well, the reason I say that is on page, I think 35, it says may involve some or all of the following. So it's not, I think that means, are we going to do it? Not, well, are we going to do it or are we not going to do it? That's what I want to know, and that's why I'm asking. It says, in page 35, consultation may involve some or all of the following methods. That's not clear enough to me.
I'll ask a question from the chair for some clarity around that. What is the intention? It's a fairly sensitive issue. Correct?
Through the chair, as you can see on page 36, we have a table of what is proposed, and we were not proposing to let a box drop all residents and businesses.
That's what was, I read this and I'm sorry, but through the chair, I was quite confused, even though it's got a timeline, but it does say above may or include some of the following. So, well, I'd like to foreshadow that is part of the community-wide consultation. The reason I'd like to foreshadow that is it is a very sensitive topic. I did get a variety of feedback out in the community, strong opinions for, strong opinions against. I'm of the firm view with something as big as this for our city, having a survey of 388 people is not good enough, in my opinion, on its own for community-wide consultation. I think this needs serious consultation. Give everyone the opportunity. They choose not to participate in the process, that's their problem, but at least make everyone aware of this through a letter, because not everyone will, I'm a social media addict. I'll see a post on our Twitter feed or Facebook, so I'd be happy to share, but I think there's something as serious as this that warrants everyone getting it, including picking up council groups, earlier comment, picking up the renters as well. So I'd like to foreshadow that letter survey to all households, business operators and property owners is one of those.
Thank you, Councillor. Stating the obvious, but just for perfect clarity, the movement of the seconder can't initiate a change. The second has already spoken. The mover can't move a change in reply. But you can move an amendment, which is like a then test the movement seconders will incorporate. For purposes of clarity, given that community engagement was a sensitive topic earlier tonight, page 36 in the table makes it really, really clear that ratepayers will get a slip within their rates notice. So technically every rateable property will receive a notice. But I just want to be really clear that that doesn't equate to households, because rates notices don't go to every household. To refer back to comment Councillor Brooke made in his opening speech, that wouldn't get renters, for instance. So I suggest if you're passionate about this issue of a letter go to every household, that you move an amendment and you ask what the budget implication would be in doing so.
Yep, happy to do that. I would like to move an amendment that a letter, as I stated before, is included, so it incorporates everyone having the say, and if we can get the budgetary impact as well, that would be great, please.
So that's on your behalf. That will cost some money. CEO, an estimate?
Thank you, Mayor. It's estimated that a letter to all residents is in the order of between $12,000 and $13,000.
Thank you. Just to clarify, that's printing envelopes, postage, all up.
Yes, that includes the total cost. We would need to seek a budget variation in order to include that in this project through one of the budget reviews.
So just a technicality, there isn't a budget for this, so the mover of the amendment, is you're going to get stuck if we support something but there's no budget, or would you simply respond to it by bringing a budget review to us, or should he just say, his amendment funded?
Thank you for the question. We would actually bring a budget review forward in the budget review process in order to fund the mail-out. So clearly, if we don't have a budget for it, the implementation of the resolution would fail on the basis that we didn't have enough money. So tantamount to requiring a budget review in the amendment, we would actually incorporate that in the next budget review.
Thank you. Question if I'm allowed to.
Question, Councillor Rick.
Would, I know you can move that amendment, would a DL survey that's unaddressed mail to all households, would that be a cheaper way of achieving a similar outcome if it's a DL survey that's unaddressed mail?
CEO.
Thank you for the question. I can't provide a certain answer in relation to the cost of that, but we do know that where we do not specifically address to the householder, most of that information goes in the bin because it's seen as junk mail.
So in terms of moving your amendment, can I just advise you from the chair that if you want elected members to consider that, this is where they're deciding that you ask for the budget variation to be included in the next budget review, rather than subject to the next budget review. So it'll be a second decision made.
Repeat that last bit, sorry.
The budget for this be included in the next budget review.
Okay, the budget for this be included in the next budget review.
Well moved.
Point of order.
Point of order, Councillor Root.
Sure.
Point of order is that the cost for any such matter would actually be incurred in 2019-20, so it wouldn't be budget review, it would be budget bill for this year. Because the proposed matter to ratepayers is happening in July, which is next financial year. So I just want to point that out. So it wouldn't be a budget review, which gives us great scope to improve the budget. And it might even be that you could give 1,000 letters to each member, we could deliver them ourselves.
Happy to walk the streets.
That's my point of order.
It's not a point of order.
Having to be overall.
Very nice clarification.
I don't think he's in the same letter.
CEO, I'm sorry, we're still within formal meeting procedures. CEO, indulge us here. We don't want to make, well, I'm assuming you don't want to make two decisions. How do we deal with this matter if it's in a future budget? Is the only way that it's a budget bid?
At the end of the day, it will need to be included in the 1920 budget. I'm sorry, I overlooked the fact that it was going to happen in July, not in June. It will need to be included in our budget planning for the 1920 budget.
So I can suggest to the amendment that the words "and a budget bid be prepared to fund this" be added to his amendment.
Would there be a further question if possible?
Yes, brief question.
Would there be the opportunity with this to actually include other information that we're seeking feedback in, so we're not doing one thing, if there's anything else we're seeking feedback on, to keep, obviously, to get the best bang for that buck if it is spent? Would it be an opportunity to seek other things, feedback we're seeking things on at the moment, included as part of that matter?
Chair to say in theory yes, but don't complicate matters right now.
Sure.
Sorry, Councillor Ripp, that is your amendment. I think you've spoken to it in principle, but I'll give you another 30 seconds if you need to speak to this specifically.
I'll leave it at that, that's fine.
Okay, now ask the mover and seconder whether they're happy to incorporate that into the motion. Yes. Who is, and Councillor Harris?
Yes.
Yes, and I seek leave of the meeting to incorporate that change into the motion. All those in favour? Yes, it's thus incorporated and the amendment. Thank you, Councillor Ripp, for the suggestion. Any further debate inside? Councillor Barnett.
Yes, so just, I do remember as being part of the Devonport Terrace Community Consultation Group along with the Mayor and Deputy Mayor. This was also part of that consultation and feedback about 40Ks being applied to the area west of Churchill Road, because the other section between the east of Churchill Road and Prospect Road is a 40Ks, but somehow that missed out, and so that might be somewhere added into the reporting as well, because that came out of the consultation process there to look at that.
Further debate? Councillor Pearce.
Just quickly, yeah. Look, I support the motion, but I've read a lot of the comments here, and like Councillor Brent said, they're very strong either one way or the other. So it's going to be a tricky situation. But I think that respondent number 5 hits the nail on the head that he wants universal speed limits, like Christine just said. There's too much confusion. So whatever happens, that's going to look at strong, a universal speed limit, so people like me don't get spend time. So.
Thank you. Is that a vision, Councillor?
That is a vision. Unfortunately.
Just briefly from the Chair, I support the initiation of consultation. Very grateful for Councillor Groot leading the charge on this. It's a position of vulnerability that he understands very, very well, because it is a sensitive topic. I commence driving around at 40 kilometres an hour. It's interesting discipline to adopt. So far my life hasn't changed dramatically for the worse. But just to test it, and I others want to do that, that's up to you. I noticed that the feedback from this was 57%. It's remarkably similar to when we last did this in the consultation around sections 8 and 9 of our traffic management plan. It was about, I think it was 57%. And prior to that, in the years before I was on council, it was 55%, I'm led to believe. So I'm not surprised to see it at that level, but it's remarkably consistent. What it tells me is that community sentiment hasn't moved very far at all. And we've not had an education program about it at all, so perhaps as part of the consultation we might need to outline that a little bit more. I am of the view that some of the physical traffic calming devices could be reviewed if a 40k zone came in. And I think that is part of the teaser for people, that they could have a slightly easier life, less lumps and bumps and jarring as part of this. And I base that on nothing more, not a traffic engineer, on nothing more than west of Prospect Road has very few physical traffic interventions. There's a 40k zone that's survived very well for 20 years, I think. And I think there's only one roundabout, and there are some pancake top humps by the school, and not much else. And I think if that can work there, and people can drive relatively smoothly, then it should be able to work everywhere else. So I do think that these things go hand in hand, and I do wonder whether we'd get a greater community support if we said, in time those devices would be removed, and perhaps that could play into the discussion around Balfour and Howard, and there are others. So I obviously urge people to support this, but I just acknowledge that there's a community communication program that needs to be developed so that people are making this decision for their response based not just on their knee-jerk reaction as to their own convenience, but they're thinking about the immunity of the whole city. And I think Councillor Pearce has also hit on the point of consistent speed limits across the city. It's been a complaint we've had many times over, and I think we can use this to resolve it. There are a couple of things around the edge which I don't know how will be resolved, and the director can advise at the time. The section between Churchill Road and the train line should be easy. Previously, the government wanted major geographical features or main roads to end the speed limit zone. I would have thought a north-south train corridor would be such. But north of Regency, we have 3 streets where there is no definable, no geographic features showing where the city ends and starts, and that may be a challenge we have to deal with. Same here, where we've got part of Seton Park in our city, but not all of it. So I think there's some challenges going forward, but I commend this motion to the floor, and hope it gets up and we can work through those challenges. Thank you. Further debate? Back to you, Councillor Brick, to sum up.
Thank you, Councillor Brick, for his amendment. I think it makes perfect sense. Looking at that timeline on page 36, there is the Prospect magazine going out, so that may provide another opportunity for us to reduce postage costs. It does seem to be the biggest component of that $13,000 or $14,000, I think. And quite seriously, I think how can elected members be part of that solution? We all live in our community, we walk in our community, it might be a great solution to use us in some of these, not just for this, but for others as well. Look, I do commend the motion. I'm hoping it will get up. I think this is a really interesting community base. It is going to bring out really strong views either way. And I think that the survey as it is certainly shows some support for a reduction in speed limit. We'll see where it goes from here. So I commend the motion to you all.
Thank you. That concludes the debate. All those in favour? Against, it's carried unanimously. Item 13.3, small business friendly council initiative on page 58. Somebody happy to move it? Its current form. Deputy Mayor, to speak to it.
Yes, thanks. So thanks to the director for bringing us to the meeting tonight. I think this is a fairly easy one because we're already complying with the requirements. So that suggests that we are already heading to as we like to be. A couple of points I'd like to note. On page 60, in the second bottom paragraph, it says councils are also required to identify and implement 3 additional initiatives each year to support local businesses. And I note that we say the City of Prospect will report on the following ongoing initiatives. So I'm hoping that we're not going to report on ongoing initiatives each year, that we are going to look at 3 new initiatives as Charter outlines. Second point I'd like to make is that it's a fairly extensive list of councils who are already part of the Small Business Friendly Council initiative, and I would strongly encourage the director to liaise with people on those councils to see what their initiatives are, to ensure that we're bringing new ideas into our city that other people have already done the groundwork on. Third part is a little bit more broad, and I know that we're doing a lot for small businesses in the area. One thing I'd like to encourage the director is to consider clustering businesses by geographical location, because to me, businesses, everyone can be part of the business leaders group, everyone can be part of Network Prospect. However, the needs and the opportunities for businesses along Churchill Road are completely different to those on Prospect Road. And again, for the area that we're looking at upgrading on North East Road, that's a completely different scenario as well. So in this whole process, I'd like to think that we're doing a little bit of segmentation, not putting everyone in the same basket, and looking at initiatives which might extend the activities and what's happening in the prosperity amongst all the areas of the council. But as I said at the start, this makes perfect sense, and I will be supporting this and encourage the rest of the members to consider supporting it as well.
Do I have a second? Councillor Barnett, did you speak to it?
Yes, and I think it's building on some of the excellent work that is already happening in this area. So I think it's complementary to what we're doing. So I speak support it.
Further debate? Councillor Back.
And thanks for the previous speakers. Look, I commend the motion, and similar to Councillor Deputy Mayor Larwood saying, it'd be really nice to see some new initiatives. But like I was saying, we don't have to do them. We can always invite our wonderful businesses within the area and give them a platform and space to talk to other businesses. So I think it's a really exciting opportunity, and we should really ask businesses what they want, instead of just maybe assuming and delivering. So it's really a great opportunity to get some feedback and see some new stuff happening in the business sector.
Further debate? Just briefly from the chair, this has come before the LGA before, and I'll give you the same little speech I gave them. I'm all for working with people, I'm all for cooperation. I think this is a good initiative, except it's pretty one-sided. There's a lot there that the Small Business Commissioner is asking us to do, but there's nothing on the other side. The Small Business Commissioner is not asking businesses to do anything with councils. And I find that to be disappointing, really, because I think it's a great opportunity, as Councillor Back has just pointed out, as others have spoken about. I would have liked there to have been some commitment from the Small Business Commissioner to encourage local businesses, for instance, to support local activities, local sporting clubs, local community events. Nothing like that in the agreement at all. It's just an agreement about what we'll do. Businesses. And I'm not against any of the things in there that suggest that we do. I think it's a bit one-sided. There's nothing in there to say that that they'll encourage local businesses to sign up to Network Prospect so that we can communicate. That would have been terrific. There's nothing in there that urges local businesses to respond to council surveys or when council calls saying, can people please help us with policy development around planning or business assistance or mentoring or training. Could you please respond? There's nothing in there about that. And those of us who've been around here for a while know that the most difficult group to hear from in the whole city when we're trying to develop policy is local business. They are so hard to get hold of, and they don't respond in any numbers that are impressive at all. We're lucky to get 2 responses out of the hundreds and hundreds of businesses. Would have been good for the Small Business Commissioner to have said, I'll try and get local businesses to give you a point of contact within their business that you can reliably talk to or send an email to. They might respond. We'll ask them to give you the right person to correspond with. There's nothing about that. And finally, just by way of example, but I'm not intending to vote against this, should I be given the chance? I'm sure you won't. There's nothing in here where the Small Business Commissioner encourages small business to register to vote and to vote in local government elections. And that's why I'm disappointed to say, whilst this looks good, in my view, it stops well short of being a commitment for both parties to work together. This is a commitment for us to work for local businesses. I'm not against service. but I think it's a real lost opportunity. I made that point to the LGA and clearly it's gone nowhere. And I think it's a lost opportunity that I know the team that we've got will do their best to try and capitalise on, but I think it could have gone so much further. Here at the end of the rant. Further speakers. There being none, Deputy Media to sum up.
Thank you. And acknowledging the aforementioned rant, perhaps it's an opportunity to include some of those points that you've made in the new initiatives that we're bringing to the table each year, and potentially we can make some ground there ourselves, even if the Commission for Small Business doesn't appear to be interested. So maybe that's something.
Thank you. That concludes the debate. All those in favour? Against? It is carried not unanimously. 13.4, Community Engagement Consultation Policy, we've already dealt with. 13.5, Facilities Booking System, Parks Trial, recommendations on page 98 and 99. Just note to let the members that there's a typo in item 2, it should say trial, not trial. Given us a park. There we go. Sorry. Somebody wish to move it as on the screen. Mayor, wish to speak to it.
So for the new folks around the table and the old folks who've forgotten where they started because it started so long ago, this is a direct result of an initiative that was kicked off about 2 or 3 years ago, where we looked at digital innovation and digital transformation in the local government sector. We collaborated with a bunch of other local council entities, and we brought in some experts in the area to try to get us all thinking in line with the opportunities that were presented to local government through digital transformation. The process was, I think it was challenging at times, it was useful at times, it looked like it was going down a certain direction, but ultimately we couldn't get buy-in from a group of people who seemed more intent on doing their own thing regardless of all agreeing that it was a good idea to work together. So fast forward, the concept of facilities booking system dropped out of that process, and I'm hoping that it won't be the only initiative that we can go down, and we are working on other things within council. And I think this is the right decision. I think building something ourselves when something off the shelf could be found which substantially met 90% of our needs is the right idea. We should invest a huge amount of money when we're only looking for 10% improvement in what this platform might offer compared to the ideal platform. And we've got a commitment from this vendor if we move forward with them to continue to develop and enhance the platform, and particularly including the ability to better engage with our local businesses. We still want to do that? Yeah, we still want to do that, don't we? Yeah. So this is a good idea. I urge you to support it. My one concern with what's been proposed here is that the timelines are a little bit of a concern to me. It looks like we might run into a whole lot of things that are happening around September, October later on this year. And I suggest or ask the group to consider refactoring the timeline so that we give ourselves a little bit more wiggle room and have this decided upon, implemented and up and running before we get overwhelmed by what will happen with the new building. So that's my only comment, but apart from that, having been involved in this whole process from the start, I'm glad to say that we've got something happening out of it, and I think it will be a good initiative, and I still support it.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Councillor Barnett.
Yes, as one who has had various complaints over various times about local groups particularly, and with their issues. Anyway, so I think we were quite impressed, I think, with the Space to Co, the presentation when of us who were there. And I think also, probably we might still be the only South Australian council that is trialling this process. So is that right? They're Western Australian based. Question to the...
Through the chair, Tea Gully Council is trialling it at the moment.
Right, they got in before us. Anyway, yeah, so, yeah, I think it's an innovative way to go. And again, it's looking at how much it would be for us to be able to try and do something like this. So I think that's if we can look outside the square, which we have done, and come up with somebody else who has already got the solution and is willing to partner with us. So I look forward to the outcome of the trial.
Thank you. Any further speakers? Councillor Group.
Great idea, I'll support it. Just one quick question. The $1 fee for school not-for-profits, I just look at my involvement in schools. The cost of actually setting City Prospect or the vendor up as a vendor on the IT system and the finance system and then paying $2 for 2 hour hire, it's going to cost probably, I don't know, $200 to do that. Is that $1 fee, is that a real fee, or is that just so it can be on the system? I kind of was trying to read between the lines that we need to do it just so that there's that sort of interaction. But are we actually charging the not-for-profits and schools the extra $2? So they actually have to pay it?
Through the chair, to make the system work, it has to have a transaction, and Space to Co need a transaction going through their account. All the money goes in the first instance through their account and then comes back to us, so we don't actually have to set up a school as a particular vendor.
That are somewhere about the school.
They just simply have to have a credit card, and they just put the credit card transaction through. The whole system is made so that it's very simple for individuals, not-for-profits, and also for companies.
Thank you. Sorry, just quickly, I'm not worried about our capacity to manage those. It's more the small not-for-profits that might, a lot of them might have credit cards, apart from personal credit cards of office bearers and things like that. But maybe just be prepared for a good education campaign for schools and not-for-profits to make sure they know what's going on. The only other comment I'd make is just pick up on Deputy Mayor Larwood's point about the timing. It'd be great if it's a 6-month or 9-month trial. 3 months seems hardly any time to kind of get our teeth into it and understand how it's going to work. So, yeah, it'd be good if it could be longer, but I understand commercial reasons why it's 3 months more than anything else. But yeah, I commend the motion, great idea, and thanks to Councillor Larwood and also former Councillor Evans, who I think has been working on this for a long time.
Thank you. Any further debate? Councillor Rip.
Question on page 108. There's obviously that good table of summaries between the different councils on the weddings. Do the other councils, what's their process in terms of their local schools, organisations and everything? Have we got a summary of how they have felt as well in other council areas? I assume, what are they, local not-for-profits and schools are paying into this as a transaction fee in other councils as well?
Through the chair, the systems in all the other councils are so wide and varied. What we were trying to do was simply get an average price, but everybody is using a very, very different system, and different fees for rotundas, different fees for not-for-profits, exceptions. We don't really have industry standards in fees for parks or booking of rooms or not-for-profits.
Further question, yeah, so that table on page 108, is that only looking at price of $35 per hour? Is that an average of only the private functions, so like your weddings, the external functions? So we don't have any information from other councils how they go about systems in terms of dealing with local not-for-profits and schools. So this is only on those private events, not locals, not-for-profit schools. Is that correct?
Through Chair, that's primarily information sourced from other councils' websites and what they're actually charging. We didn't do a discrete investigation on not-for-profits. But through the $1 fee, we're trying to make it as accessible as possible for them.
Thank you. Any further debate? Deputy Mayor, sum up.
Thank you. This is, I think this is, as much as it is an initiative, it's a bit of an economic principle as well. If we can deliver a better service at a cheaper price, then I think it's the opportunity to consume more of those services. technology doesn't suit everybody, but as we mentioned before, it's an educational process that we have to roll out. And I look forward to the day when we consider an initiative like this not to be the end of it, just why wouldn't it? Just part of the course, because I think we need to aim to get to that point, we shouldn't be so awe-inspired by something that's fundamentally obvious as this. So that's one of the things I want to continue working on.
That concludes the debate. All those in favour? Against? Carried unanimously. Next section reports provided for information. We generally move on block, and if somebody wishes to withdraw any or all for debate. Anybody wish to withdraw item 15.1, the appointment of the acting chief executive officer? Anybody wish to withdraw item 15.2, see your prospect depot relocation feasibility study? Anybody wish to withdraw item 15.3, the economic development strategy 2019? Yeah. Item 15.4, anybody wish to withdraw the project update for the click? Therefore move on block item 15.1, 15.2 and 15.4. Councillor Britton. Under our convention, there's no speaking to. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Britton, for debate. All those in favour? Yes, they carry unanimously. Thank you.
It's not unanimous.
Okay, sorry, I'll take that again.
I suppose.
I'll just take the vote again. All those in favour of moving 15.1, 2 and 4? Those against? It's carried but not unanimously. Thank you. Item 15.3, therefore, page 140. Get you really happy to move it as it is?
Yes, sir.
Yep. Wish to speak to it?
Thank you. So I'd like to start off by congratulating the authors of the report. It's very comprehensive and it's a good summary of what we've been doing in this space, and I guess it's our springboard for looking forward. I think it's an exciting process to see what the team are putting forward and also what ideas come around the table to help us inform what we should be doing from an economic development point of view in the future. A couple of points to note. We've tried a variety of initiatives over the years, and not everything's been successful. I don't think you can bank on 100% success in this space. One of the principles of the Intelligent Community Foundation is pushing the boundaries and trying things that are a little bit more risky than guaranteed, because that's where innovation will come and that's where new ideas and initiatives will actually drop out, which deliver a realistic benefit. So I'd like to encourage the team to continue that. Having said that, we also might need to reconsider some of the things that we've been having a go at over the last few years and narrow our focus from one perspective, but also from different perspectives. So I think part of this process for me has got to be crystal clear vision of what we're trying to do. We need to look at the costs involved of delivering this service. So there's the direct costs of staff wages and also the costs of the initiatives that we undertake, and ensuring that we're, might sound kind of boring, but ensuring that we're looking to achieve an ROI on investing that money, because I think we really owe that to our ratepayers. And in fact, if we do achieve great outcomes, then we can spend more. It's not about spending less, it's about focusing the money in areas where it's going to have the most benefit. One thing I'd also encourage the team to look at is, so there's a lot of reporting in here about numbers, but a lot of them are purely reporting. I don't know whether there's a huge amount in here that I would say are targets and KPIs. There's some work in there around that, but I'd like that to be a focus in the future. And of course they have to be measurable and achievable KPIs, but I think that they're the sorts of things that really help us sharpen our attention, sharpen our focus on what we should be doing, and not get too distracted by all the things that we could do, because there's an unlimited amount of things that we can do in this space. So it's really a matter of filtering down what we should do and what we should try. And I think that by taking that approach, we'll have a great outcome. And of course, a bit of the theme which crops up when we're talking about this space is what we're doing for all of our city. And I think that's really important. We're starting to build a good solid nucleus around the village heart, which I think is important. At some point in time, we also need to continue to look to branch out and the work we've done there should support initiatives that we can develop in other parts of the city. So targeting the right sort of businesses who actually bring economic prosperity, who add to the culture of the city, who draw people to want to come and live and work and socialise in the city, all those kind of things like that are principles that I'm sure that the team's considering. So I look forward to being part of the development of the future city, and looking towards a lot of people around the table to think about the report as well.
Thank you. Well, second. I'll jump once. Councillor Barnett.
Yes, I jump. Yes, again, I think it's, I support what the Deputy Mayor's been saying, and it may be we do, perhaps have to, sometimes it's to take advantage of things that come our way or that we've worked towards, and so it may be some other things that are, a bit, what can I say, in terms of like if you've got a grid in there, need high input, quite a bit of, say, some of our monies and are difficult to achieve. So perhaps we don't have too many of those and have a bit more like some things I'm seeing a bit more there that we can get some quick or runs on the board, and I think it's quite exciting, some of our partnership with the Adelaide University. Again, that opens up a lot of other possibilities and resources for us that we wouldn't normally have access to. So thank you for the staff and preparing a report. Commend the motion.
Further debate? Councillor Back.
Again, thank you for the report. I do have a bit of an issue on page 145. It says consult, and it talks about council workshop on innovation precinct Uni of Adelaide, January. Now, I don't know about you guys, there was a quick presentation, but there wasn't a lot of consulting on it. And one of the things I kind of took away from that presentation was that we don't have a defined, I guess, personality in the whole business space, and that was reflected in some of the few feedback we had, a little bit of feedback we had. And also that this whole big city NBN Wi-Fi has a limited reach, but are we really listening to what our, the business community in a wider sense is saying? So like anything to do with intelligent communities and smart cities and whatever, we have to make it tangible and communicate well. And I want to have something that I can go, when I'm networking and talking to other elected members and other councils, we can say, well, Prospect's doing this, and this is what we're focused on. And that probably has to be a new drum. We've done the NBN thing, and I think we have to be a bit smarter and just maybe tweak that communication channel. So it's a shame we don't have big champions groups as we did before, because I think that's a really good opportunity to focus on people that are interested in the economic development space. We're just saying, well, this would be good and this would be good, and we can, through the elected members, champion what we're trying to achieve. So good report, but as the member said, we need to fine-tune it a little bit, and I would like to talk a bit more about what the Adelaide Uni is saying.
Further debate? Councillor Rick.
When I was actually reading this report, I was really thinking about our council area as a whole, and this is why I did move, part of the reason why I did move that Collinswood motion in December, because we have a real opportunity if we want to develop economic development. If we can really provide the hubs in the area, so particularly along that northeast road, particularly looking at Main North Road, what council have done, the great job that has been done at Prospect Road, if we can provide that great active and vibrant space, that will go a long way to helping exits, business staying in the area, people coming to the area. So there is a real opportunity for a report like this for our council to take leadership, to take ownership in driving what we want our city as a whole to look like. And yes, we've done a great job at Prospect Road, but there really is opportunity to look at that type of vibrancy and activation right across the board for the council area. And I really want to see us really drive further in that space in the coming years.
Further debate? Just briefly from the chair, thank you for the report. does cover all of our targets. However, I sense that it's perhaps more optimistic than it should be. I don't have a problem with getting bad news if we've failed to do something, and in some places I think we have, and it doesn't kind of reflect back. I think there are some challenges going forward, and I think the Deputy Mayor summed it up well in his opening speech, that the next one needs to be carefully tailored, having learnt so much from this one, about what we should do in the next 4 years or 10 years or whatever our time frame might be. But I just have some trouble with some of the way the descriptions are provided. The CEO claiming that we've promoted Churchill Road such that Carlton Supermarkets is coming is a little, I think, well, we stand accused of giving the lily, given that I don't think we made any approach to Carlton whatsoever. And the Carlton proposal is 3 times that, which is allowed under our development plan. So if we did actually port them, then we should have, because our development plan doesn't ask us to port that sort of development. Now, I'm not making a judgment about that development. That will stand on its own 2 feet or not before the state process. It's not our process. I'm really talking about this report. It seems to overstate things where perhaps it shouldn't. And another example of that is on page 152, right at the top, 2.42, pursue completion of the northern section of the Church Road Master Plan in response to the Development Authority. And the comment is that infrastructure work is to be developed in partnership with the developer of 250 Churchill Road. Well, I don't know that we have such an agreement with that development. In fact, we certainly don't. And even if we in some heaven did, they wouldn't be offering to do the other side of the road, nor do they after doing the bit between Charles Street and their block of, or the Kingdom Place or whatever, their block of land, nor north of Regency Road, because our boundary does extend well beyond 250 Churchill Road. So I'm not opposed that we note the report, but I just want to make it clear that I think there's some things which are overstated. There are some things which are carefully stated and are correct, but I state that because I think we need to have a good, honest, hard look at what we've been doing with this resource. I think the Deputy Mayor outlined it very well in his opening statement. We do spend ratepayers' money in this discipline. We need to be very careful how we do that and what we focus that money on. And I think it's time for a radical rethink of what we're doing to make sure that we're comfortable, that we're emphasising the right, I think Councillor Barnett as well, we're emphasising the right things that are achievable, and that we're withdrawing things that either don't need us anymore, or we're not actually kicking goals, and therefore the investment's not getting a return. I don't want to be prescriptive about what they might be, but there's an awful lot of activity required in here, and I think at the very least the list should be shorter and a great bit more focus to give the CEO and her team a much clearer direction around what we think is really, really important, as opposed to a lot of things which all seem to have equal weighting in this list. So this is my comments, thank you, we'll leave it. Any further debate? If not, I'll ask the Deputy Mayor to sum up if he wishes to.
Just like to make 2 points. So a few of us have talked about sharpening focus, and that will give us more budget to spend in some more well-defined areas, which will allow us, I think, to achieve greater results. There's a saying about fish where the fish are. So, for example, we know that people are coming to our area to build multi-storey developments, but only a small number of them are putting a shotgun in the bottom. So maybe one of the types of things we should be doing is targeting developers and espousing the virtues of considering that as part of the development plan, maybe looking at what we can offer them as trade-offs. I'm just making things up now. I'm sure that if we discuss this further, those sorts of ideas will come out. But to me, they're coming to us, and that's a perfect target to work on initiatives to make some of the things we want to happen. Second point I'd like to make is that in the executive summary, this is along the lines of the point that Councillor Backer raised. The first line says, the new economic development strategy will be brought to Council in March, April 2019. So by my calculations, that's only a month away, a little bit over a month away. And so as far as I feel, the session we had recently with Adelaide Uni wasn't a consultation session, it was an information session, and we really haven't had a chance to flesh this out. We've got 3 new people on council that haven't had a chance to contribute their thinking and their ideas at all. And I think if this means that it's going to be brought to council, to a council meeting for endorsement in March, April, then I don't agree with that. And then there's to be some workshop processes held
so that we can contribute thinking and come away with a plan that we'll have the support when we're out and about talking to our constituents. So can I get a clarification from the director what the intention actually is there?
Not during summing up, sorry, no. No. Summing up is summing up.
I retract my question of clarification and I'll stick to my summing up, but I'll leave that hanging in some way that cannot be retracted. Because it's now on that and everyone calls it. Apart from that point, I do look forward to the opportunity to contribute to this new plan. I'm sure they'll be around the table also. Looking forward to it as well.
Okay, thank you. That concludes the debate. All those in favour? Yes, it's carried unanimously. Okay, the next item is the council diary. And the twilight sessions are coming up, of course, on every Friday in February. Share your friends, get it on your Facebook sites. We also have an Adelaide Fringe exhibition at the Prospect Gallery. So there's things happening in February. Item 17, general business of an urgent nature. Is there any general business of an urgent nature? Councillor Harris.
Yeah, somewhere else I should have brought it. My business of an urgent nature, and I hope it doesn't shock a couple of people, is I'd like the CEO and the Mayor to unfortunately acknowledge the passing of Rod Smart, and what's made this council for almost I'll be the longest employee ever in this council, 40-something years for the benefit. And I didn't try and bring it up earlier, I forgot about it then. So I personally, and I don't think many people here knew it, but he was one of the many highlights of this council. He came as a boy at 14 or 15. He played out Matthew Mitchell. When he retired, he got double Matthew's years, 44 years. And his heart was always in Prospect Council. And I hope we can acknowledge that and send, I believe, the funerals next week. If you put someone on the ground this week, they'll cook. And so hopefully when I find that out, I'll let people know.
Thank you. CEO, we'll certainly acknowledge that. Thank you. Any other general business of an urgent nature? There being none, we now move to confidential items on 18.1, supported residential facilities act licensing, Clifford House. Just ask somebody to move. So moved. One.
Second.
Moved by Councillor Group, who should speak to it. Seconded by Councillor Barnett, who should speak to it. Any further debate? All those in favour? Yes. Carried unanimously. All those that are not named in part one, please let